Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolly Lulu Crafts, and today I thought it really was about time we did something Christmassy. I feel that yet again, for another year, although I think I didn't do too bad last year, I'm a bit late off the mark for doing Christmas cards with you guys. But anyway, we're here, we're finally doing some. I'm doing a bulk make. I'm trying to do, like with the bulk make, something that's sort of quick and easy to make. So I'm using my pre-cut 6x6 cards. They're pre-scored. They're ones that I had made from a paper mill, but you can buy ready-made ones. Now, because they are made to size, what they do is they have a 6x6 envelope, and the card base itself is actually very slightly smaller, and it definitely would be easier if it was exactly 6x6, and you'll see why later, but it's not a major deal. Now, I also had done, when I went to this mill, these layers that were a 1/4 inch smaller than the actual card base, so that made it 1/8 of an inch on all sides, so that it would mat down. It just made a nice easy way of matting and layering, because it's always, don't you find you always get it and it's just not quite square? It doesn't matter how much you seem to think you're getting it square, it's not. Anyway, what I decided was on this occasion I'm going to put these on the inside of the card. So I took this texture paste because I thought this would be a little bit different than just matting and layering, say with some gold glitter card behind or something. And I'm deliberately doing it really kind of scruffy, just to make it kind of fun and kind of a bit sort of shabby chic-ish. And when it dries, it's going to be really sparkly. So I've got 12 cards that I'm making. Of those 12 cards, I'm doing the inners. 8 of them are with this gold sparkle. Sorry, I was trying to work out if I was right on my numbers. I think I'm doing 8 with the gold sparkle, and then I'm doing 4 with these Pinfair sentiments. These are just Christmas sticker sentiments to go on the inside. So you can, I just thought I'd show 2 different ways, and obviously if you want to make it even more quick, doing no inner at all is obviously going to be quicker. Or if you've got some stickers or a stamp, you could do that straight onto the inside of the card and not put a layer on. Now, I wanted the layer because I know I'm putting an extra layer on the front, and I like to balance the weight. You guys know I'm a bit obsessed about that. I like having that kind of, if I'm putting extra weight on the front, I like to put extra weight on the inside. So that's all my card bases scored and folded. So that's all 12. My inners are all pasted and got the stickers on, so they've been put to one side to dry. So now we're going to our papers. These are the papers from my Stampin' Up haul. If you want to take a look at that haul, it was my last video. I'll put a link to that for you in the blog post. I picked out 3 sheets of paper that I thought would work really well, because what I'm going to do is basically cut them in half and then half again to create a 6x6 square. So I'm just creating some fronts basically to go on the front of those cards that are just going to look really nice. I've picked out the ones with the gold foiling, and I just think that they're going to turn out really interesting, and I think they're just a little bit different. Actually, you don't actually need to use these papers for Christmas. I mean, and also the cards generally, you could use any sentiment on these to make them work for any kind of occasion that you want. I thought it would be fun to make some cards that were kind of not traditional Christmas colours, like this pink that's a little bit more kind of different to what you would normally expect, but I think will look really effective. The gold kind of comes in, and I think it looks quite effective, and it's just really simple, just cutting these all into these squares. It's just then nice and quick. When you're doing bulk make, it's quite a good idea to do one job at a time. So if you're cutting, cut all of the at one time, because you get into kind of a rhythm of it. You've got the equipment out, whereas if you sort of cut one piece of paper then stuck them on, you're fiddling around, so it's much quicker to do that. This sheet, I would say, is probably the most Christmassy of the ones that we picked, and actually when it finishes, it's probably my least favourite, although it turns out it's probably my mum's favourite. So I think it really is just sort of seeing what you think will work for you and what you like. But the great thing is that it's just a really quick way of creating a good bunch of cards, not too expensive to make as well, depending on what papers you use. So it's just a really nice easy way to create your cards. Now, the next thing I did was I wanted to create my sentiment to go on the front of the cards. So I've got some gold mirror card, and this is a sentiment from the Tim Holtz die cut collection. Again, with all of these I will list the products used on the blog post, so just go there and you'll see everything. So that's 12 of those cut out. I have to say that did take quite some time, so I obviously cut most of that out in the video because otherwise we'd be here till literally Christmas. So then those inners were all dry, as you could see. So for this, because I used the paste, it was just a little bit heavier, so I thought that it would be better to probably use the wet glue. Also, because you want it absolutely nicely centered, I thought it would be easier as well with the wet glue because I got a little bit of movement time. So I just pop those on. Leave them open. I do literally like a whole bunch of them, leave them open on the floor to dry. Once they're dry, I then come back up here and we're putting the fronts on. So I then literally, for that, because it's just paper, I'm just using my tape pen here, and I'm literally making sure I'm going right on all the edges because I want that paper to stick down right to the very edge. There's not going to be like a border or anything like that. It's going to be completely covering it. In fact, as I said to you, the card itself is very slightly smaller than 6x6, so if you had a card base that was perhaps a crafting card base, they usually are precisely 6x6 and the envelope is slightly bigger. Because this was done by like a more traditional sort of envelope card person, the envelopes, as I say, are the actual 6x6, so it meant the cards was very slightly smaller, which, as you can see, meant I had a very slight overlap of the paper. So what I did was I stuck a few down, so one from each sort of section, you know, so there was one from each paper, just so I could see what they looked like really. And then so we've got the glue. I showed you the first one, but normally what I would do is like do 3, glue them, and then put the papers on them, so that I would do like batches. And then at the end of the 3, I would get my scissors and I'm going to cut the excess off, because normally, as I said, I would do like everything, but you find otherwise you've just got too many in front of you and it just gets a bit too much stuff on the desk. So I did it in groups of 3, which worked out quite well. It also meant that I could make sure that I had at least one of the sentiment stickers in each paper collection, because I wanted to make sure that each colour had one of the stickers rather than just like all the stickers in the dark green or something. So I wanted to ensure that. So once those were all stuck down, you can see they look really good, and I just, as I said, it took a second to snip them off. It wasn't a major deal, but obviously it's a lot quicker to not have to do that. But as you can see, it looks really effective. Then we've got my Merry Christmas sentiments here, and I'm just going to stick those down. Now, I'm not a massive fan, I have to say, of spray glues, but to be honest, when you're bulk doing something like this, it really is the easiest way to go and the quickest way. If you're trying to do it with like putting glue on them or using a glue pen or something, you'll be there forever, especially when you're doing like 12, and if you're even doing more than that, because this is a kind of a design that you could just really whack out a whole heap. And the beauty of it is, because the papers are different, one, they look different because the papers are so different, but also you're putting the sentiments in different positions, so it makes them look different as well. And obviously with Christmas cards, you're sending them to different households usually, so it's not like they're all going to be seeing them. So I just used a piece of paper there just to press them down, because otherwise what I find is you catch it with your fingers and you start lifting it up. So that's the first lot of that paper's done, and you can see the one in the top left there, I switched it around so that it was like the dark was at the top, and here you can see on the dark colours the Merry Christmases are in different positions, and I just did that according to what I thought would work. But this is the one that wasn't my favourite, that dark one, because you couldn't see the Merry Christmas as much, although it was better in life than on the camera even. And this one's probably my favourite, but also with this one there wasn't a lot of option to move them around. You know, you could really only do it in the centre on the pink, whereas obviously the sort of limey green. I had lots of different places I could position it because of the white. So that is it, all done. It took a little bit longer than this video might obviously give appearance, because obviously cutting out the gold sentiments and waiting for the texture paste to dry, etc., took a bit more time. But as I said, if you didn't do the texture paste, or even if you just stamped inside or put a sticker inside or whatever, or just left it completely blank on the inside, that would obviously make it a lot quicker. If you want to see some pictures and also see the products used, do use the link in the paragraph below this video. It will take you to the blog post where you'll have all that extra information. Okay, and also I'll put a link to the video which has the haul for these papers for you as well. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed making these Christmas cards with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.